Okay, we should be live. Thanks everyone for coming to another another community committee meeting. This is the meeting for July 12th, 2016 or 2018. And let's get started. I will note at the beginning that we're going to have a public session and a private session. The private session is going to be time boxed to 30 minutes. And so we're going to make sure we make room for that in the normal hour that we have. So without further ado, do we have initiative updates? Feel free to start talking.
Okay, sorry, I was muted. I have an update from the user feedback team. Next Monday, we're going to have a general feedback session and drop this into. We run various types of user feedback from specialized special interests to general feedback. We're circling back to do a general feedback one. The irony of user feedback is we tend to get a lot more interest and engagement with focal points and niches than we do with opening the door and inviting anybody. I'd love to have more attendance and more engagements in this session. So far we've gotten a ton of positive feedback and engagement around Promises Initiative and almost zero on general feedback. So I'd like to shift the tide there a bit and get some more voices in. Thank you.
Yeah, I think unfortunately one of our bigger voices is not going to be able to make the next general user feedback meeting because I emailed the list of invitees and he said he wasn't going to be able to make it, but hopefully we'll get a good group of other people.
Great.
Awesome. Do we have any other updates from initiatives?
Yeah, I've got two large updates from the website redesign initiative. So we just pulled in finalized, well, not final, but the current process for creating new documentation RFCs. So this is for getting started guides, specifically the list of stuff generated at the Collaboration Summit in issue number 16, website redesign. We now have a process and a place for all that to live inside the repo while we're iterating on actual site design and documentation suggestion. So please go take a look at the list and contribute where you feel like your domain knowledge is, and go ahead and open up a PR following that process. We also had an awesome first touch base with a new design resource. That Stripe is very kindly donating a full 3 months of dedicated design to help push the website redesign forward. So we are so grateful for that. Had a great first touch base. Joey is the designer's name. He'll be joining us in the website redesign meeting every other week, and we'll be doing frequent touch bases online and offline at other times. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I also have an update for the mentorship project. So we started the matching process. Currently we have, for the beta round, we have 7 mentors, and all of them are from the Node.js. They're all members in the project. So we're going to start with that, and hopefully we'll finish the matching process this week or within the next few weeks.
Awesome. Any other initiative updates we want to get to? Cool. With that, I think we can move into the agenda. So the first item, I do want to preface this by saying we probably won't get to everything on the agenda. Anything that we don't get to will be tabled for the future, a future meeting. So first item on the agenda is review member onboarding process from initiatives and working groups. Alexander opened it on behalf of D. Shaw. I will give you the link. I'll paste the link. It's issue 345 in the repo. There you go. Oh, wrong person. I don't know why it auto selects someone in the chat to post it to. There you go. Here's the issue. Dan, do you have context on this?
Can I speak to this? Onboarding process of initiatives. Yes. Okay. So specifically, when, and this is actually, right along the edge of, is this a community committee concern or is this an admin concern? So today, when a initiative or working group gets to a point where someone is brought in as a collaborator, we have to basically chase down Tierney and ask Tierney, hey Tierney, could you make this person a member of Node.js? And we all looked at what would we do? We'd go ask Tierney. And it's like, that's not a process. That's not something that's repeatable. That's not something that's scalable. That's why we created this issue. It's not a very well-formed opinion, but it's just highlighting, all right, that doesn't seem right.
So I didn't actually realize that was the context of this. And now that you've said that, I know how this got to this.
Sure.
I entirely agree. That said, I don't know if it is. I mean, I think you're right. It's probably an admin thing. I don't know if this is something that we need to enable, because if someone's a member of the org already, it shouldn't be an issue. I think I've gone through and tried to consistently update and maintain who is a maintainer of the teams. But if someone's not a member of the org already, then they have to be added by an owner. Which that's the barrier, and that's a barrier that's been in Node.js as long as I've been around it, or at least since IOJS. So yeah, that's definitely, I think, an admin thing because we've not solved that.
Well, I do think that our new policy in the ComCom about encouraging the entrance point in the initiatives puts a unique light on our particular case, right? Because if you aren't currently a member, and we're actively enabling folks that are not currently members to come and be a part of the project, then we need to have a path. And even if I think it's acceptable for me at this point that go ask the chair. That's your role. Is an acceptable resolution, but go ask Tierney is not.
Right. And I mean, yeah, I think right now, because I am the chair, that's why
right.
It's go ask Tierney. But yeah, documenting that is good. That said, so the issue there is you have to be an org owner to have that permission to add someone to the org, and so that's a whole thing. But on top of it, go ahead, Michael.
Just the existing process does specifically say, to Tierney's point, that it's because he's the chair. It's not because it's Tierney. It's that
right.
Which specifically called out, I think somewhere in the admin repo, it says who are the org owners, and it's the chair of, probably needs to be updated to include the director representative as well, if it doesn't already. But as a next natural progression, you're right that it could then be taken from there as well. But
go ahead, Tracy.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the reason that this stuff exists is because we're sort of, right, this is where the tooling gets tangled with our governance, where we have GitHub org management, and then we have the administrative work of each of the, committees and such. This was gated originally for a reason, so that the chairs are chairs partially for dealing and managing with the administrative work of each of these committees. And again, that's why Tierney had been, targeted as the person to go to for that. If it is overwhelming, right, and an overwhelming number of requests for that, then we clearly need to figure out another means. But that, as far as I know, is a pattern across the project, where if you are, a part of the group that has been maintaining that area of the org, part of your responsibility is providing that key. because you have the context to know whether you can be like onboarding someone or giving them those permissions. That said, yes, if there's an update that needs to be made, this is certainly an admin conversation. I think this is a separate conversation than the one that's already happening around GitHub org, sort of like existing rules with the charter. I think that's happening with maybe the TSC right now.
Okay.
Yeah. But that sort of all encompasses, I think, the same challenge.
Right. So I linked to the policy. So followed up and found the policy in admin. I linked to the policy in the chat, and we'll put that in the notes. And I also dropped that in the issue for additional follow-up.
Awesome.
So 2 comments. As someone who has fairly recent experience with that specific issue. Well, 3 comments. One is there is a plan of enabling and automating this specific task. It's a slow burning plan, but there is other motivations to have to enable that via a bot or some sort of automated tool that knows policy. The second one is, as the management policy says, all the TSC members have owner rights. I'm sure some of them would be happy to help. In this case, if it's well documented, adding people just to the organization has a fairly minimal impact. It allows them to view the moderation repo, and it allows them to join as individual members to the foundation. Apart from that, other implications are minimal, so we can document that.
But are we talking about just adding to the Node.org, or are we talking about
just adding to the org? So that can also happen asynchronously to onboarding to specific teams. So
sure, but I thought that the conversation was also about adding as a collaborator, like more than just adding to the Node.org.
So the barrier there is that adding people to the Node.org, if someone's not already in the Node.org, they can't be added to a team. And so I think that's where like adding to the Node.org is the hard part, and the rest of it's simple-ish. Like if you're a maintainer of a team, you can add someone who's already in the org.
Right.
That's right.
So TLDR, future will have automation. Second, ping a TSC member. And third, you can do this asynchronously of the actual onboarding, and then each team can onboard to their own team, and that's simpler.
That said, there's ongoing discussion about whether it makes sense for the TSC to be the only people to like add, right? It likely shouldn't just be Tierney and the TSC.
Yeah.
If there's so much surface area and people with context, because I also feel bad for the TSC if they're going to end up getting these requests and don't necessarily have the context to know whether they should be doing it. And again, I'm talking more about the context of collaborators and not just like general node org.
Yeah. And I mean, even that distinction is very gray between collaborator and being a Node.org member.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to time box this. We need to move on to the next issue. So I'm going to time box that for now. Next issue is, okay, so the next 2 I'm going to take over. I'm going to run through them real quick. They're both PRs. First one is create onboarding.md, which is a document that's just a first attempted an onboarding document. Tracy and Manil had some comments. I asked for some clarification, but otherwise there seems to be approvals, and I'm happy to continue iterating on that. And I think we should be able to iterate on this and get it shipped relatively soon. So excited for that. This is more of a please take a look and let us know feedback so we can make this as solid as possible. Next issue or next PR, I'll link it. Sorry, I didn't do that for the last one, is PR 352, first pass of partner communities. So I really just threw this out there because we're very much going down the path of going toward having partner communities rather than a single blessed entity of this is Node.js, this is what we use as a platform to discuss. So Node Slackers has already kind of gone down this path, and we have some prior art there. The Node.js Discord that I created because there was an issue that was open for 2 years and we didn't come to a conclusion besides this should happen kind of. Or should Slack, or should I, like the same discussion we've been having for 5 years or so. I just went and created that. I've also tried to follow the same model for Node Slackers to create additional art around this and see what the benefits and the drawbacks are. And so I kind of tried to outline some of that in this PR. It looks like there's some actual good, questions and content in here. I see V. Carl, who runs another Node.js Discord, a very popular one, much more popular than the one I created. He's already asking questions to be able to begin to kind of engage with this. I'm actually really excited to see that. So that's really good context. So again, please take a look. Please share any comments, criticisms, additions, anything like that, because I really like to ship this. It's a super useful thing, and I think it'll be a good community project, or a good way to continue enabling community. Cool. Awesome. Anyone have anything to say on those quickly? Cool. If you do have thoughts, please comment them on the issues. Cool. Next thing is, how should we address licenses for non-code initiatives and projects? I just added the agenda label to this. This is something I wanted to have in the private section, just because I have a half update that's not official, and I don't want to share anything that's not official until it's official. So I'm going to actually update on that in the private session. Cool. So I didn't link the issue, but the next item on the agenda is a Node.js node issue. Let me pull it up real quick and then I'll link it. Sorry, everyone. Okay, I'm putting the link in the Zoom chat. There you go. So it's creating a branch of the docs using RunKit. Adam, I added the agenda item and I wrote the issue, but do you want to give context on this? Because this is largely your work.
Yeah, totally. So RunKit has gotten exceptionally involved in the website redesign process. And especially when we were evaluating tools for how we could make the site more interactive and how we could actually provide live code examples on the site, came to us with a really awesome demo of RunKit with a couple small documentation pages with the runnable code snippet right alongside the API documentation. It was a really powerful demo, and we'd love to move forward with evaluating them as a how they could actually integrate with the build process for documentation to make this thing really awesome to use as a developer. So Tierney, you opened this issue, and I commented to give extra context below to just kind of get the ball rolling here and enable them to have the tools they need to get this proposal together for how to add runnable snippets on the Node.js documentation, because this will be a fairly large task. It's going to get the ball rolling now to see how it will look or may look in the future. Yeah, Tierney, did I miss any context there?
I don't think so, no.
Sweet.
I realized in the original issue I didn't link the demo that they had built. I don't know if it got linked because I didn't look at it till today, and there's a lot of context there. It does look like they actually went in and linked it in his comment. So Here's the link. If in the Zoom chat, if anyone wants to see it, it's actually really cool. I'm super excited about it. So it looks like the RunKit stuff might have degraded gracefully, but not actually embedded RunKit there. So they might have updated something. But yeah, it's super awesome. So I'm excited for this, and I'm hoping to be able to do whatever we need to actually help them help this land.
Yeah, it looks like a bunch of folks who have more context than me on the documentation build process jumped right in and started helping out. So I was happy to see that eagerness to help.
Yep. Same. Cool. Anyone have questions on this?
Do we have a strategy if RunKit were to potentially disappear for how we would manage that?
So the nice thing about the solution here for augmenting the build, it doesn't actually change the documentation content. It's a build step.
Nice.
So it's very, if God forbid RunKit disappeared overnight, it would be an easy switch to flip to degrade back to the old solution or just to inline markdown code blocks.
Yep. And on top of that, that was one of the things I was super adamant about, making sure that wouldn't be an issue, is like graceful degradation. For example, what just happened on my machine. I don't know if it's happened on anyone else's, but the code blocks degrade very, very gracefully. And so, that's an important thing if we're shipping docs with core. If that's going to be included in there in part of the build, we need to make sure that, it can run offline when it can't connect to RunKit.
And as was just stated in the chat, RunKit has a precedence for being used on large industry sites. Like NPM uses it for their code snippets on their site as well. So I might imply some stability.
Yeah, and the reason they asked for this, I don't know if we share this context, was to load test to see if they would need to give us dedicated servers, because they're entirely willing to do that. They just want to know if they need to. So that's why this issue was initially created. Cool. Going to move on. Unboxing this real quick. We have two things from user feedback. I think we kind of already covered the general session.
Yep.
Do you want to cover the promises section in 2 minutes, Dan?
Yep. So yeah, thanks. Everything that I shared earlier covers the general feedback. Please invite people to those tweets. The other is a user feedback that we're preparing for a survey. So part of the facilitation process that we enable in user feedback is helping folks build the consensus, not just providing the forum, but once you have some folks' attention, how do you actually build a consensus to drive change? And that's what we're in the process right now of facilitating with some promises folks. And so either promises positive or negative, whatever side of the aisle you may sit on that, invite folks to engage in that process, so the data that we collect it will meaningfully inform the project. Let me drop a link to that. So thanks for your attention.
Awesome. Any quick questions on that? Cool. That was exactly 2 minutes. So awesome. We're going to end the live stream now. ComCom members, please stay on. And Foundation members as well are welcome to stay. So we're going to end the stream. Thanks everyone for watching, and we will see you in another 2 weeks for the stream. And I'm looking at the chat. There's no questions. So awesome. Thanks everyone.